My vengeance ends now.
Yeah. I don't think Santa Monica Studios know how many fans didn't buy that shit, but you know, we'll go back to that when the full-blown review retrospective comes out for that bullshit. Just you wait, Santa Monica. Just you wait, Santa Monica. I got your ass.
Spitting nothing but facts. Fans screaming I'm back. Legendary I'm that. Cooking up a new batch.
Well met, my fellow Marauders. My name is V, and today, for Marauders Reviews, we are talking about an unbelievable horror that happened a year ago. The heartbreak, the betrayal, the utter audacity that was burned off into the vast distance of the universe was committed on that whole abomination of a year, and I'm here to finally come clean with things.
The suspense is terrible. He's gonna go this time. I hope it'll last.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens everywhere, and spirits in the spiritual realm. Back in 2017, I was a part of something that I feel like I need to come clean with. And that is that I lost the recipe for the perfect pizza, okay? I placed it by my desk and now it's gone! I fucked up! But in all seriousness, though, 2017 was an unforgettable year for many, I mean many individuals that caused a lot of changes. Some good, some bad, some of which I don't want to talk about. And this review will not be any different. 2017 brought about the abrupt cancellation of a very popular slice of life / anime-esque Minecraft roleplay series of Rosegate High. It was very prolific. It had a lot of big individual fan bases blooming from it, a lot of people trying to catch cameos from other big productions, and it also had a very familiar voice in it. I'm thrilled to have the two of you here. Plus, him. This is kinda my getting away. Ever since my mom left, it's been really hard. I wonder who I could nail down who did to it at least different roles that had a very familiar voice. I'm sure it's nothing. Anywho, a lot of people were very devastated when they heard it was canceled due to unknown circumstances. And if you guys are going to be trying to ask me what the circumstances are, you are so fucking out of luck. We're not talking about that shit today. And so, with many a tear in many people's eyes, they were distraught to hear that Season 1 would no longer go on. Anyway, fast forward to a couple months later with Rosegate Life. Yay. So, yeah. Brand new season from the discontinued first season. Rosegate Life is supposed to be the continuation with brand new situations, brand new characters, and a whole new light outside of high school. You know, with no real conclusion as to what happened in the first season, not a lot of the original cast coming back, various things just being shoved into your face, and just being half-hearted because it seems like most of the light actually left. If you don't believe me, just ask the writers from Heroes Reborn and see how many people loved that amazing reboot from a series. In any case, though, Season 2 was very well received by fans and is slated to have a newly released third season at the time of this recording. Probably hasn't really come out. It probably did come out. I'm not truly sure. But what I do know is I want to actually analyze this for what it is. Was the second season truly as good as their fans tried to say it was from the previous season? Or was it just so overly hyped and people just loved it because they just love Minecraft? Well, let's take a look at the first 3 episodes of Rosegate Life and find out for ourselves whether or not it actually does reach the pinnacle measure of what a good roleplay is.
Let me tell you a story.
So we begin with episode 1, as our main protagonist of Heike Payton graduating from the illustrious Rosegate High, while sitting alone in a gymnasium, before being dragged away by some nameless teacher we never knew before, or knew anything about. Okay? But I mean, nobody is that petty about anything. I mean, I can't imagine anyone that would be. So we fast forward about 4 years later, you know, as you do from just introducing stuff with no explanation, and return to Heike talking to her mom while in a closed off and dusty loft, apartment, college dorm room, some random hostel. I can't help but wonder where the hell this is supposed to be, but at the same time, I'm just like, should I care? I need direction here. Should I even care? But we have no time for any sort of real analogy or stuff that's actually supposed to be clarified into what the plot is. We have to go into the intro song playing right now! Now, admittedly, one of the strong points of the Rosegate franchise is the ear-catching intro and outro songs. It makes it for an enjoyable ride to just hear the songs playing before and after the whole full-blown experience that is the show. However, the problem, unlike Season 1, is that Season 2's intro song plays way too fucking long in the pilot. It literally clocks in to at least be, if not more than, 8 minutes long for screen time, at least to certain viewers. For myself, I clocked it in and it felt like at least 5 to 7 minutes playing super long, and the runtime is almost as long as a television show without commercials, of 23 minutes.
What's the matter with you?
It's almost like it's saying we're trying to pad out time because we didn't know what to really do, because we don't know how to write a good second season after what happened last time. In any case, though, the episode finally returns with a pointless break-in scene at a, I guess, cafe that goes absolutely nowhere. And then goes to lazy character introduction. Because of course it does. Don't all good shows start from pointless breaking and entering and lazy character introduction? Like, isn't that how we met William Murdoch in Murdoch Mysteries? Him breaking in and finding Julia Ogden in her office. And then we go into a montage from Season 1 and brand new clips to explain very little to new fans and kind of confusing old fans that goes absolutely nowhere. Well, I'll be honest, it doesn't go anywhere right now, obviously. I mean, God forbid you make a steady narrative for new fans to enjoy while not isolating and confusing the older fans. I mean, who does that? Who really does that? And then we return focus to the, I guess now, plot of the episode of Heike trying to find a place to stay. So I mean, phew, that was a roller coaster there. Because I mean, guys, let me tell you, if we did not have that pointless break-in scene to the cafe because of someone that actually works there, then it is give a lazy character introduction to someone that we've never met before, to then give us some flashback/montage events, to go into all of these events, and then just lazily introducing an event about staying in a house. I mean, I would just be so confused. I mean, so many great moments could be start from here. It's not like you could have used moments that are going to be in the next episode to be put into this episode to give actual world building or character moments or just building up a plot line to give a satisfying conclusion to your supposed event going on now. But what are the odds of that actually working? But anyway, enough of me trying to poke holes into this plot already. Where does this house finding plot actually go into?
Surprise!
So, to explain to all of you, or at least all of you that care about who this person is, let me just do a long story short. See, this little blonde chickie here, that I'll just show briefly on screen again, is Jeanette. Former high school bully, season 1 antagonist. She made everyone's lives miserable, she made her father cry, and she was a terrible sibling to her brother. It's not like I would honestly know what doing that role would entail, because what would I know about the show? Now, if this were a more complete series that actually flushed out everything to have all the remaining episodes queued in for fans whether they wanted to experience the thing or not, and if the showrunner would honestly just do it to sedate fans about how the conclusions actually went to things, to show how the characters actually grow, develop, do all these sort of things to then have their own character arc and motivations, this would have been a great catalyst to see that they've actually grown out of their childish roots to just actually go to each other, not as friends, but as equals, as maybe just acquaintances at best. Acquaintances at best to do stuff in an adult manner, to do stuff on an intellectual playing field that says, I may not have liked you back in the day, but we can probably meet halfway here. I can feel it. But instead, we get forced conflict that many people saw coming of two people that don't want to be roommates, but rest assured by the end of the season, they'll probably still be rooming together as an odd couple situation. Or if you want to be more simple about it,
You see, they just didn't care.
so that plot thread drying out really fast, we close out with this scene of these people trying to buy a house next door, or at least it looks like it's next door. That's supposed to be a red herring into the next episode. Because sure. Where we begin episode 2 with Heike then still trying to look for a place to stay. Because of course it does. I mean who doesn't want to just see, who doesn't want to see something like that instead of seeing it in the last episode when it was brought up as a plot point, instead of just hearing the goddamn theme song just being played just so fucking long and then just padding out I mean, who the fuck wouldn't want consistency here? Who would want consistency here? Which, of course, leads to hilarious hijinks of wacky houses, and then ultimate shock of shocks! Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens, ghosts, and other inhabitants of the spiritual and monstrous world, and mythological world, if I may add, I introduce to you the classic old flame reappearing trope. And it has landed perfectly. Now, while I grab my bottles next door, it's time for backstory that you don't really need to know, but honestly have to know to understand this review. To those of you that are interested, or those of you that are just here because you want to see me just bitch this out until I get a bunch of dislikes, this blonde guy right here is Emil. He was Heike's love interest from the first season, which is kind of an easy nod to remember because Emil's voice actor and Heike's voice actress are technically either still engaged or actually married by this point. So them being love interest is actually supposed to be that subtle. Right now, he's gonna be the reason Heike panics long enough to end the housing plot thread, introduce the whole will they, won't they trope that so many shippers love to focus on so much. AKA the method that you use when you want to add in a character or plot threads very lazily. I call it the Diet Cupid because it's lacking a lot of the good substance of a Cupid story. But I'm probably jumping the gun here. I mean, there's no way in all of Hades that any part of what I said is going to literally be how this plays out.
So, are you still planning on moving out?
Actually, I think I'll just stay here.
Oh, hi Jeanette. You You live here too as well?
Yeah, I share the house with my dog.
Wait, you have a dog?
Woof! Woof!
Yeah, she's really annoying at times.
You're an idiot!
So, to wrap things up here, after ditching Emile at the door, after ending this plot thread of housing, Heike and Jeanette go with some supporting characters to a club or something. It's kind of not that important. While Emile, we surprisingly, I do mean surprisingly, get a real character moment with him. And I wish, God, I wish in my cynical nature, I was kidding about this, but I'll let the scene speak for itself.
I haven't forgotten about her. Look, I'm really sorry. I haven't been able to move on from that. I understand I hurt her. Horribly. But, please. I already messed it up with her to begin with anyways.
Now, allow me to state my piece over how good of a character moment this is on a truly non-cynical level. And I do mean my most non-cynical level. At its core, a love interest with little depth or personality to them is doomed for failure due to only being created for the sake of loving the main protagonist, the supporting character, or the main antagonist as a whole. It's a detriment to your own story if you have no good foundation for what has been formatted for what you're introducing as a love interest. Same as with anything, a best friend character, a rival, a bully, a mentor. But in this case, since it's supposed to be someone that's part of the main cast, if you don't know who this character is, it has to be a strong impression for new fans, as well as a good reminder from old fans about how good this character is. And with this scene from Emile, instead of trying to remember the stupid flashback from season 1 that was played in episode 1 that had nothing really substantial because of how blatantly stupid it was with a new scene involved, he was honestly sold as not only a solid love interest, but as a solid character that you'd want to see more incredible moments like this with him. You'd want to see how he would develop from here, how he'd want to have his whole being just being written out and showcased for you all to see that he can be presentable. Well-written regret, excellent juxtaposition from flashback to present, and even great musical choices to emphasize the scene without going too forced or distracting, all in one solid character moment is all that you need to sell a character on any level. If they have done something of the quality of why they're in a will they won't they scenario. Now this is truly a good moment from Rosegate, and it's truly a wonderfully nice scene that makes you want to see more from the show. I will admit that. So to follow up that, we start off episode 3 with Emile having the brilliant idea of going to someone to stalk and or snoop into Heike's business. What? You thought things were gonna get better? Well, you thought wrong. Emile honestly starts off the episode by, and I don't bullshit you with this, going to an old friend in the neighborhood and trying to get info and convince them to spy and or stalk Heike due to some innate reason that's never really explained. And instead of doing things the way most exes do nowadays, if it's supposed to be set in a reality standpoint of going through their Instagram, going through their Facebook, seeing if they have a Pinterest, talking to some of their mutual friends from their jobs, hitting up their parents if you knew them when you dated or if you were close friends, something of that line to make it realistic. Or hell, even pulling an Edward Cullen or Christian Grey levels of stalking. Those guys made it an art form that women love in the romantic genre today. But no. He decides to go with just watch.
I was wondering, do you still do, magic?
Of course. I am assuming you want me to do some sort of spell? Come inside, since magic isn't really A-okay with the public yet.
I have some questions.
So wait, let me get this straight here. We're just now making magic a thing after season 1 clearly made itself grounded in reality, as in no magical things whatsoever unless it was a gag episode? Because the only time we ever fucking saw magic was a gag episode of Heike turned into a baby. But wait, according to the scene, it's now apparently canon, which means now magic was supposed to be real, but now it's just introduced so lazily into the season after season 1 was a stepping stone into how the world works. It's supposed to be realism or supposed to be mystical, because now we have a bunch of plot holes here that's kind of trying to wrap itself up, because there are other moments later on in the series that have some explanations that need to be clarified. Was it because magic got involved to now make things awkward, or we're just going to go with realism to explain these sort of things that don't really match up when you use scientific logic? How come magic is now being instrumented like this? Is it because the showrunner really wanted to make a magical series that made no real headway whatsoever because it made no goddamn sense whatsoever when they finally put it on paper? Or they were just hoping that the fans wouldn't really try to put any more thought process into the things, and we're just gonna be like, oh wow, it's such an amazing series. Wow, I really do believe in this concept. Why haven't we thought about this revolutionary concept before about having realism and then just automatically juxtapositioning into magic and realism? And I'm sorry, guys. I wish I could just slow down with you guys to make sure that you hear everything I'm trying to say, but I'm so perplexed over why this revelation is a thing. I mean, yeah, it's a good way to just be like, oh, world building on a grand scale about things happening. Wow, I wonder what this is. If this was a first season! This is season fucking 2! You've literally labeled this the second season after your first one, where you could have easily put in something mystical or mythological in the first season and made it canon, instead of as a gag episode to then just make it happen. Cause now you're just making something that makes no goddamn sense. And I'm so far out of my reach and depth here that I'm just wondering one thing, and it's just raising so many things I can't really fucking comprehend.
It just raises too many questions.
Seriously, guys, I know people love this show and love everything with role plays. But even long-term fans and many different reviewers that are just trying to look into Minecraft as if it were a viable medium for stuff with storytelling thanks to Telltale making it viable, it literally makes The Room, or Gilmore Girls, or fucking Friends, or How I Met Your Mother seem like plausible plot threads over all the weird inconsistencies that it does with its character motivations, weird writing choices, and how it does things. God, where's my booze? Anyway, so while Emil tries to pull a Christian Cullen with magic with Christina, that's the witch's name by the way, we then have to check in on Anastasia Steele, Anastasia Steele, Bella Swan, to have her hang out with her two closest friends in the whole wide world of Rose and Celeste. Because we all know and remember all the good times with Rose and Celeste that made them such close pals to do stuff together. Remember all those moments in season 1? Huh. Well, I guess from the character motivations, personality choices, how they have dialogue later on in the series, I figured that they were just like two other characters that were Heike's close friends from season 1. Or maybe it was just my imagination. So anyway, before we get to that, Emil and Christina find a scene where Heike ends up in the hospital in the future at some point. Oh no! Because yes, that's how you do a good red herring. Just shove it in so lazily into the third episode like this. Definitely don't try to just sprinkle it in with just subtle hints. Just prophecy magic. So now Emil has Christina check in on Heike ASAP to try and prevent this future. By basically spying on her, of course. Seriously though, with smart writing, they could have just kept the realism about Christina still spying on Heike and probably knowing these events without the future vision by making her like a spy or something with the CIA or something. It didn't have to be this complicated. Just saying. It all doesn't really go anywhere that firmly though, as Christina gets discovered by Rose and Celeste, then gets beat the fuck up for no apparent reason, drops the whole magic bomb, even though it was clearly stated in a previous scene that it's not supposed to be known publicly, but says it so profoundly in a public area, and then just dips. After which, Rose becomes the exposition fairy over what magic truly is in this universe for the entire Rosegate franchise. Seriously. It's honestly the most unnecessary thing I've ever seen in a show, and that's saying a lot, since I have an old man that used to be an angel, a fucking glowing box somewhere in my area over there, and I have a blue-haired guy living in one of my pocket dimension apartments in my apartment studio. Living there, apparently fighting gods, demons, and monsters. And still, I don't believe it even when I hear explosions coming from that pocket dimension.
I heard that, asshole!
Then pay your rent already! So after the exposition is, I guess, complete, Celeste makes Rose feel bad, for some reason, only to do the generic, "we apologize, we're friends now," thing to make everyone feel better, making this scene completely pointless. I give an award for the writers over how stupidly pointless that was. And so episode 3 ends, along with our viewing at this point, with Heike going home to see Emil going to Christina's house, seeing Jeanette with a new beau, and then her going up to her room only to proclaim that she's totally not interested in Emil. Of course not. And that is the first 3 episodes of Rosegate Life. That was a joke, right? Okay, in all fairness, I apologize to any fans that love this series. I truly, truly do. I wanted to go into this liking it from the first 3 episodes, but from what I've seen, this really highlights a lot of glaring problems. From the flimsy plot lines, many bland or underused characters that could have really gone a long way from what they were building up for them in the first season. A lot of very unnecessary scenes that literally do nothing but undermine and undersell a lot of important events. Very shoddy writing at times, just shoehorning in whatever people felt like would be appealing for audience members instead of what felt right for the writers and the team to just make an original property and make it organic from what they were setting forth with their stepping stones. But then we lead to the biggest problem, which is how it's basically trying to treat its own continuity as if it's a joke. And I have to tell you guys, that is the biggest sin for anything involving a series. Now, with any kind of show where it was problematic in how it was trying to end things, your Roseannes, your Dallases, your Will and Graces, they all had their own unique problems where the fans demanded that they had a better ending. Hell, even How I Met Your Mother had to do something in their DVD release to point out a better conclusion for the series. But the problem with that statement I just said is that the fans hated the product and wanted change. when it's something that is successful, that is good, that the fans love, that you yourself have made as a great foundation for something very popular and very mainstream, where everyone that is coming up to you saying that they love your ideals for this first thing and they want to see more, that was the forefront of your production. To tear that down to then construct a weaker comparison to what you've made beforehand comes off as very short-sighted, self-destructive, and will not last long in the grand scheme of anything productive, whether it's television, movie, video game, music, anything in the entertainment genre. That will end up betraying you faster than any other idealism that you can bring upon for yourself. But I digress from being writer to writer. I will now just finally analyze everything as a whole, study all of the series from the first 3 episodes, from its writing, plot, acting, overall flow, and after I dice up, fillet the show, boom, and have a Guy Fieri moment and have it with a little BAM! I will award Rosegate Life with a 3.8 out of 13 with a D-, and awarding it the Pewter Medal, which I solely reserve for productions that I cannot personally endorse, but I wish for the best with their own future endeavors and actually analyze it for themselves to make their own response videos for this. I really wouldn't mind other people doing reviews of this show or any other Minecraft roleplays in general. So, with that being the case, that is unfortunately all the time we have today. But tune in next time when we begin the re-reviews, all because of something I'll share with you guys next time.
You don't fuck with the pyramid and on your feet.